Welcome to another episode of the Angels Positivity and Love Show. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights, experience, and much more to share with all of us. High vibe, high frequency. Coming back to us today, KRISTEN EYKEL, spiritual teacher, Reiki master, shaman, hypnotherapist, and wears a bunch of other hats too. She's an author. She's got a new book out, Aromatherapy and Essential Oils. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But if we could just say there's someone who's super gentle in their heart, great presence, well endowed when it comes to paying attention, the universe, listening, and helping others. Wow. That's why she's coming back on the show so much. KRISTEN, great to see you again. You're coming to us from Cape Cod this time.
Oh my goodness. It's so good to be back with you. Yeah, Michael. We have like the world tour together, haven't we? Like we've been like all over the place. So yeah, lovely to be beaming in from the beautiful Northeast and connecting with you, your team, your tribe, the interdimensional galactic beings that we work with, as well as these amazing human terrestrials that are all fans of your show. Thank you for having me here.
Well, I cannot state enough how plugged in you are, how relaxed you are, how great your answers are when you're listening to loving beings or love and above or interdimensional beings who live with us, in us, and around us. Can we have you kind of talk the big picture for mankind right now, the world? There's a lot of turmoil, there's a lot of complexities going on. I think even more so if someone could have accidentally tripped and touched the 1970s stereo receiver, the big volume dials they had. I think someone really tripped on the carpet and just accidentally shot the volume of the music way up. There's so much complexity, ballistic missiles, this and that, all sorts of stuff going on. What's the big picture take? And then what do we need to know about angels and more?
Really beautiful and potent question. So I really want to thank you for sort of opening up that field. Because right now, yes, complexity is a wonderful word, but I'm also getting the word subtlety, right? So it can look very complex, but I think there's also this real sweet, subtle richness that is sort of hidden in plain sight that all of us are getting to accumulate, accentuate, and appreciate at this time. If we are focusing, yeah, accentuate the positive. If we are focusing on that which is negative, that which is dark, that which is fearful, that which is freaking us out, we will experience that amplification. If we are focusing more on that which is generous, that which is kind, that which is inclusive, that which builds self and community in a harmonious state, that is what we will also accentuate and expand and experience. So it is not to say that we are in ignorance of what is happening in the turmoil and upheaval on the planet. It is to say, hold space for it, dear ones. For we all collectively have cultivated this moment of transition, this moment of birth and expansion that is really happening. We have been in a deep contraction for a very long period of time. When we think of like an ice age, we think of like the cold, the contraction, that depth. Well, we're now exploding outwards, which means those old confines can no longer stay and they're cracking open. As they crack open, it will sort of bubble up to the surface. All that ugliness, all that malfeasance, all that stuff that no longer serves, that cannot go into these new love and above octaves, is going to have to be revealed in order to be cleansed, which means each and every one of us, which hold pieces of those programmings or pieces of that historical lineage, genetic unfinished business thing, or have been participating in any way with the malfeasance on the planet at this time, we're going to feel activated. Those chords within us are going to start to strum so that we can reconcile them, we can understand them, we can come to peace with them, and we can move beyond that veil. We can learn from the mistakes of our individual and collective past so that we are no longer replicating them into this bright new future where it is unwritten, where it is open, where we already have seeds for the future that have already been planted from those of us who've already been holding this field for a very long period of time, maybe decades, maybe centuries, maybe millennia. And plus all of these beautiful light teams that are really amplifying and coming online through each and every one of us who are light workers, who are knowing that we're light workers, the sort of light academy, if you will. It's kind of like lightening up around the world as they're sort of all coming online. that is changing the frequency and the atmosphere of the experience that we're having. It's kind of like when you walk into a room, you put enough bodies into a room, the temperature of the room changes. It rises up. So as we elevate in our consciousness, we're going to change the temperature of the consciousness on the planet. And so that is part and parcel of why we are witnessing what looks like breakdown. And yes, it looks ugly. And yes, it is fearful. And especially if you have a tie energetically, emotionally, spiritually of any sort of content to what's occurring, you will be feeling it deeply. However, please take note, if you do not have a specific tie to whatever is happening on the ground, be cognizant of your energy, rein your field back in, do your own spiritual cleanup on aisle 7, clean up your stuff so that you're no longer vibrating that old energetic transmission. So therefore, you are no longer displaced. You are no longer out of alignment, and you can be brought back into this clarity, because that clarity is going to help, like tuning a radio dial, help to tune in on this new frequency that will then be heard by all. So if you're being distracted by the static and the crackle and the awful noise, turn that dial down, dial back into what your channel and your alignment is. If you have alignment and connection to something that is happening on the ground, you have a beloved in harm's way, you have a community member that is in challenge, you are connected in some way with that experience, then ask yourself to dig deep. Use the resources, use the mastery that you have so that you can be of service, so that you can come in with the oxygen mask to be of service to the transmission and the transmutation. If you are the individual who is just being activated because your own unfinished business is kind of spilling out, like your guts are spilling everywhere, give yourself your own practice. Sew up your own wounds, clear and cleanse, ask for forgiveness, do whatever it is you need to do to become into clarity so that you are not adding the problem, you are augmenting the solution.
Mm. Talk to us about angels. They live within us, around us, all shapes, sizes, colors, all sorts of backgrounds. But tell us more.
So, what I perceive of angels, which I know so many people have this wonderful design and conversation about angels, and I have to admit that I'm not like the angel specialist. What I know is that I don't actually know. I think that anything that we are going to say about interdimensionals, intergalactics, timeless, formless beings is all going to be a human personification of something that allows us to feel comfortable with a big unknown. And we don't like big unknowns. So we personify it. We give it a human form. We give it a name. We give it a deity structure. And all of that, I think, is fine. I don't think they care. From what I can perceive and ascertain, each and every one of us would have like a guardian angel, like a guidance being who has chosen to walk with us, kind of like when you have this sort of space shuttle, or like a space system. There's like the people on the planet, and there's the people in orbit around the planet. So I look at our team as kind of being in orbit around the planet. We who have incarnated are the ones with boots on the ground on the planet. They are our umbilicus support system who is guiding us, who's kind of giving us heads up. Hey, there's a storm coming. Hey, watch out. Here's a thing. Hey, do you need anything? And when we tap into them, they can give us this kind of like overarching view of what's happening on the ground that might be hard for us to see when we're implanted on the ground. However, we are the boots on the ground team, and we are doing a level of the work that they themselves are not in this incarnation doing. They may have incarnated before, but not all of them have. And so when we are on the boots on the ground activating, we have a lot of responsibility. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of experience. We can get kind of lost in the overwhelmingness of what the earth experience can be like, because it's very dense. It's going to be very challenging. It can be very fear-inducing, but it's also so rich and delicious that we can have many, many experiences from touch and taste and smell and savor and deep investigation within that, which is awesome. That's kind of like the big payoffs of having the body, is all the amazing physical, mental, emotional, spiritual sensations we get to have in the body, which we don't have when we don't have a body. So there's a lot of reciprocity and support there from our interdimensional non-human team for us as the human. And so all we have to do as humans is stop thinking we know and start opening up to ask and receive and allow. And then we will have greater resources together to really move the needle forward.
Hmm. Wow. Like that answer a lot. Um, let's get back to complexity for a second. There are actors out there that believe in currency, power, control,
Mhm.
censorship, violence, harm, and so on. So there's a lot of complexity. Is
Yeah.
this a little bit like, to try to use a Bugs Bunny cartoon reference, is this a little bit like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner? Is the Roadrunner not the heart, love and above, doing its thing? And then there's Wile E. Coyote. No matter what he tries, it kind of comes back onto him every time. So is complexity really taking care of itself right now and it's unwinding, like you mentioned in the very first answer? Is it a unfolding on the globe and of evolution, higher frequency coming in, and the actors that are complex, they can't help but do what they're doing, but they don't realize that no matter how much it's like treading water. They might go extra fast, they might get 2 inches more out of the water, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
talk to us
Yeah.
about that.
No, no, that's beautifully said. So I think the answer would be yes, that and that the humans on the planet now who are acting on the behest of the belief system that they have adopted has been given to them either from their ancestral lineage, from their community, or from their sort of control teachers that have taught them that this is the way. I think there has been a very concerted effort to control humans for a variety of ways for many thousands of years. And that mechanism is starting to kind of I see like a big, like rusty machine, like the gears are starting to kind of grind and kind of break down because that's not going to be able to work in this new paradigm. That could only work in the shadows and the fear, in that sort of do it my way or I will kill you kind of way. I will smite you kind of like fear of God. So when we were living in that fear mechanism, which was cultivated in order to keep the human being from coming online, then that would work. However, we're now coming online. It's kind of like if you think of like your body as like a Christmas tree or sort of like these beautiful sort of fairy lights, like they're starting to like boop, 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 come online. So we're starting to get like activated. So it's not just your chakra system, it's not just your Kundalini, it's the entire toroidal field of your energetic system working in the quantum, working in the physical and the non-physical realm and starting to all kind of activate. It's kind of like when you switch on those big banks of light switches in like a huge airplane hangar, and there's like this hum when the light comes up and the noise starts to rise. It's like that. Like I see that happening within our bodies and within our populace. And so as we start to really let ourselves come online, some of the stuff that's not going to work is going to fall off. Those relationships are going to fall off. That way of being, that way of doing, that way of thinking, that way of eating, that way of ingesting, that way of consuming will become unpalatable. You won't be able to continue that. So it will start to slough away. And if you're really attached to that thing, it might cause fear. But trust me, sweetie Petey, there is so much more on the other side that you just won't even think about that old, ratty stuffed animal you used to carry around with you as your lovey-dovey. You're going to be so fine on the other side. So really trust that that which is being let go of needs to be let go of because it cannot go into these new octaves. And all that old crazy machinery that was kind of put in of the past, all of those systems are in the process of evolution from the inside out. So I would suggest rather than doing more, witness more clearly, witness with more neutrality, be present to, and literally see beyond the surface level. We were talking before about the prison, which is actually a prism. So we believe in the prison, which is why it feels so real. But it's more like walking in, for me, it's more like walking into funhouse mirrors, like in a carnival, and you see like the wavy mirror and like the infinity thing. Once you know it's glass, you just tap on it, it shatters. So
Mhm.
we are now shattering those illusions to see beyond and to the other side. So I would just say keep allowing the light in, really know that it's all happening for us and around us. This has been decided a long time ago. And from what I can ascertain, take this as you will, The future has already happened, and we are just living it now in real time. So we are going through the movie. So if you imagine you go to the movie theater and you're sitting there with your popcorn and the screen comes up and you're watching this big movie on the IMAX and you get really lost in the movie. Well, the movie was already shot. Those actors have already wrapped. Everybody's already at the award show. We're just watching the movie in real time. So we are now as humans watching the movie in our what feels like real time that has already occurred. And so hold space. There's going to be the intermission. The lights are going to come up and there's going to be a new thing on the other side.
Can we stay on this topic but switch burners on the stovetop? I'm
Mhm.
going to bring in roughly 8 angels, 3 Native American chiefs for very quick listening on your part for what they have to add to exactly what you've just touched on. I'll hold the photograph up very quickly. You're so good at this. You've hit on so much um, right now. I'll put Joy up. She's so high vibe. This will be a very high vibe comment. What does Joy have to say about what you just said? All of it from the start of the show to now?
I'm getting like a woohoo, sister, let's go. I'm sort of seeing like a comet with like sparkles behind it.
And I'll have to do a second part B with her, no matter how dire it looks. And I'm not making fun of this. I'm not trying to make light of it, although I am, pun intended. There can be repercussions in terms of fuel shortages, starvation, difficulty down the road. But there's something greater happening. What does Joy say about all the hubbub going on planet Earth, on the kind of quid pro quo, tit for tat, causation, ripples, harm?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Let me kind of back out of this to kind of paint a different picture, kind of
Yeah,
like the
sure.
dioramas you'd have in high school, right? Or middle school, right? Like a little diorama with like all these little things on there. So if you could imagine that on this planet, there has always been death, deprivation, war, separation. It has not landed equally among all population centers simultaneously. Does that resonate with your knowing?
Absolutely.
Nor will it. So it is not to say that's happening over there. It doesn't affect me. We are all one ecosystem. Plastic in the ocean affects all of us, right? Harmful photocarbons in the air affects all of our breathing. So all of these things do affect all of us. We are a fabric, we are a containment. But if we realize, number one, we're all going to die, so get over that. Number two, while you're alive, what are you going to do with your time? And number three, that you are here on purpose, with purpose, for purpose, specifically for your specific gifts, your specific take, your specific magic glow that you are going to infuse into this giant soup pot that we're all kind of putting all of our fragrances and blends within. And it is going to create this beautiful sort of potpourri elixir that we all get to share. It is not going to be equal. This is not a planet of equality. It never has been. This is a planet of duality, and that is accurate. This planet, as the teams have showed me, was created to be polar opposites, male, female, dark, light, up, down, left, right. That it was created for that because of that dynamic, energetic between. That is how we learn. We learn cold because of hot. We learn in because of out. We learn because of the opposite. So this squeeze, this contraction, this constriction that we've been living in, we are expanding out of it as we spoke about before, which is why we're seeing that conversation about the shift in the divine feminine, the yang and the yin balancing, right? Like it's not just about man versus female. This is about the harmonization within each of us that is all of that. That is part of the sort of reckoning, if you will, that will come with it. And yes, we will have to, at some level, make different adjustments. Perhaps we walk more. Perhaps we bike more. Perhaps we live in more cooperative environments or communities. Perhaps we do things differently and we start to remember I said there's certain things we're going to have to give up because it can't go with us into the new paradigm.
Mhm.
Part of that is literally going to be mental construct of I can't live without my fill in the blank. Well,
Yeah.
of course you can. Of
Yeah.
course you weren't born with it. You're not going to die with it. Of course you can live without it. So we have to really also open up the prism in our mind to be able to allow for that new inspiration that wants come through. Because I can promise you this much. Most of us are so busy with our ego mind chatter. It should be this way, shouldn't be that way. And I'm afraid of this, and that's wrong, and these people, and something else. We're so busy with that that the divine can't get a word in edgewise. So we have to be on some level opened. We have to be on some level quieted. And sometimes that means like knocking you down flat on your booty so that your heart breaks wide open. You start crying, you let all that stuff go so that you can have that fresh breath of reintegration, of re-inspiration and rejuvenation, which we cannot have if we're so busy telling the universe what we want the universe to do for us. Sorry, we got to stop micromanaging the cosmos. It doesn't work that way, little human. We get to be the activist on the planet from that divine inspiration by recognizing, witnessing what's going on without being trapped within it, and allowing ourselves to evolve in real time, which might mean you wake up one day with a genius new idea and you have completely altered the timeline that you experience. I do believe that is happening. I get lots of my clients, my private clients in our one-on-one sessions are telling me I'm feeling crazy because stuff that I know to be true is now no longer true. Stuff that used to work now no longer is working. Why am I the only one having the experience in the society that I'm having? Other people think I'm insane. I can't talk about what I'm talking about. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Thank you for coming to me. That's why we're having this conversation. The teams are all telling me, yeah, we're bringing you together on purpose. So if you, individual listener, beloved teammate on the planet now, are being guided, listen to the guidance. It is there for you. Do not poo-poo it. Do not push it away. Allow the ego to melt, allow the inspiration to guide you. Let the joy, the positivity, the angels, the love, whatever this energetic is, let it guide you because it is ready for you to receive.
Okay, and you get another crack at Joy. What does she say for a compliment for you out loud on how you did on all those answers, the last five answers? Here, a compliment, but you've got to share this out loud. What'd she say?
She's like, "Atta girl."
There you
There you
go.
go. Yeah.
Okay, Charlotte, um, hear about why you're not writing a book just yet on everything you've said since the show started. And when's that coming? We're going to talk about your aromatherapy and essential oils book, but get from Charlotte, get a private thing. And what does
Um,
she say loosely? So we have something to look forward to on your
oh,
next go around with the book. I mean, you've got some heavy hitting concepts there that,
thank you, my friend.
okay. And did she
So
comment?
yeah, so Kristen, me, I hold a belief system about time that I don't have enough time to do all the things I want to do. So, like many other people, I hold that belief system still, which I'm definitely working on. I do try to be compact and expansive with my time, but at the same time, I also know, like, oh my gosh, for me, having unstructured downtime is really sacred and very creative for me, and I don't get swaths of unstructured downtime, which is where I do my best creation. Actually, the book that you have in your fist, I started for 3 months when I was there in Costa Rica, and then I worked on for 3 months when I was in the middle of nowhere in France. So I did have that unstructured time to just really deeply create. So I love having that to kind of dive in. But then, we have family, we have kids, we have experiences, we have, to feed the dog and do the whatever. So that for me is finding that balance to be able to have that, like all of us, right? Like, where do we find the balance? And I think the number one thing that all of us can do, because we're all creative, we're all nurturers, we're all lovers, we're all teachers, we're all team, is to first find those at least a little pocket of some sort of peacefulness each day, even if we just get a line, even if we just get a word, even if we just get a breath, then that does aggregate towards that future expansion we get to share.
I'm going to put a photo of my guardian angel up. I'd love for you to just hear how mankind, humans, or the individual listener out there can now handle, added to their plate. It's pretty full. It's Thanksgiving right now. Um, the concept of disclosure, the fact that there might be beings, interdimensional or otherwise, in and around us, and so on. What does Minn, this guardian angel, angel is very oceany, soft-spoken. What does she say how to handle the extra topic of disclosure, loving beings? It's a big universe. It's not a small world after all.
It is not a small world after all. It is a small mind, usually, that prevents us from being able to witness and see what is actually right before our eyes. It is our dogma and our unwillingness to look that has caused us to feel that we are so alone, and that aloneness has allowed us to feel not just the separation from each other on this planet, but the separation from the divine. And when we talk about the divine, I grew up in a very sort of uber Christian household. The divine was this sort of male authority figure that was out there somewhere. But really, what the teams and what the work has been showing all of us on this planet who are willing to pay attention is that the divine is actually a non-physical energetic construct, like a frequency tone that allows matter to vibrate into existence. So I experience that we are frequency fields vibrating in overlapping experiences, which cause constructs to emerge. And so we keep feeding into the construct so the construct stays what looks like solid and real. You get a paper cut, you bleed. That becomes the real construct of it. However, there is also the awareness that we are multidimensional non-human beings as well, that when we can tap into that, we can literally heal this body in a variety of ways. We can heal our expanded field in a variety of ways. And so all those kind of gifts, we talk about the body coming back online, the sort of interdimensional frequency field that we are. Like I see us as doorways, as thresholds that the energy moves through. And so if our threshold, our doorway is kind of dirty or smudgy, then the light that comes through is going to have smudges and like, those like shadow puppets, like it's really small fingers and it's like a giant rabbit on the wall. So those little distortions in our field will create a larger distortion around us. So the more we can kind of clean this up, the less distorted our field and our projection will be. And so as a result, when we can hold into that, we will help each other over these thresholds, and we will be there of service to each other over these thresholds. And the earth herself is also coming online. There is now conversations around the literal consciousness of, speaking of Minn in the water, the very consciousness of water itself. Now hold space for that, because that's a few words, but it's a big conversation. The native people, the traditional communities of our planet, understood that fire was a consciousness, water was a consciousness, earth was a consciousness. They called the rocks the stone people. There is consciousness that seems frozen in a lump called a stone. However, it is a frequency field of rapid transmission of information that phases in and out of this dimension constantly. And so if we can start to really allow that new information is phasing in constantly, then we just become the great beneficiaries of this, as well as the disseminators of how that flows through us into this realm.
And Archangel Michael, a reminder just for how much change is coming, but how to not be looking at your toes, maybe looking up to the sky.
Oof. Michael is great for this because Michael and his team are really good about sort of like exorcising like the darker, heavier, denser stuff. So if you ever sort of feel in fear, if you ever kind of feel like, it's too much, I can't take it, you can always call on Michael to come in with his team to sort of like with a giant net, kind of scoop it all up and kind of transmute it and transform it. You're never alone as a human. You always have your interdimensional team, and Michael and his tribe are always able to come in and help elevate the situation, help to move or remove those sort of sticky, stubborn spots that might be lurking under bushes and in dark corners. We can always call upon that energy to help.
And Archangel Gabriel is next, just about staying in the heart, being in the heart as much as you can remember. What's his advice for all of us?
Yeah, the minute you saw that, I saw like the trumpet and like the blowing of the trumpet and like really that clarion call, speaking your truth, being a clear and perfect sound. That when our frequency is very clear and it's very direct and very clean, we can make miracles happen. When you speak the word with capital letters, with that clarity and that intention, you can move mountains.
Native American Chief Dull Knife, he's unconditional love, wisdom with a little bit of humor. You might catch one of those sacred smells. Uh, Actual historical figure, Dull Knife, he's more like a mountain range and just absolutely awesome. You can catch sweetgrass, cedar, sage, desert pignol, Douglas fir. There's about 60 of those. Tobacco, something sacred in the air around you. We don't have to light anything to get that.
Yeah, it's funny. The immediately first thing I got was like deerskin leather, like that texture. I got that like nice texture of the deerskin leather. That's really, yeah.
And what's his general advice? It doesn't have to be long.
Yeah, be in nature, the miracle of nature, the healing of nature. I'm sort of seeing like standing like on a trail, like in the mountains, but like there's trees and stuff, but like there's an open cliff, like there's a big space out there, but really being in the awe and the majesty of nature to remind ourselves on one level how small we are, and on the other level to remind ourselves how connected and safe we already always are.
Wow. Red shirt, gentlest mom in the world, Lakota Sioux chief. He's holding a peace pipe here wearing a U.S. presidential medal, but he's so soft and gentle. He's compassion, compassion, compassion. I don't ruin it for him. I describe him as the gentlest mom in the world. Anyone going through difficulty, his word choice is like just the softest hug, and he comes in, he helps clean you up a little bit. What's Red Shirt say about everything we've been talking about?
As you were talking about that, I saw like as if like taking a feather out of the hair, like I don't know if it's an eagle feather, but some sort of substantial feather out of the hair,
Like
and
this one?
literally, oh yeah, 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 exactly. I had my eyes closed. Yeah, exactly. I saw like taking the feather out of the hair and just sort of like as if there was a child sort of sleeping and just kind of brushing it over the face and the third eye of a child sleeping. I'm sort of seeing like firelight and like a child sleeping, and just like it's almost like let yourself sleep and rest, but also let yourself awaken. Like that sort of gentleness of sleeping softly, but let yourself gently awaken. It's sort of this brushing over the third eye.
And then Geronimo, he's action, dry wit, humor, no BS, slang. Yeah, nah, duh. You already know the answer. The other two are formal, yes, no, proper. Here's an older picture of Geronimo. He steals the show. He's like a kitten, even though he's a tiger. He'll be very direct. You can catch something in the air as well. And he's a lot of people's favorite. You think that some of the bigger names would be pole position, but he is just endearing.
I just saw like I saw a hawk with yellow feet kind of coming like straight out, the feet, the talons out, that's direct look of the hawk with over the beak, like it is time, like pay attention, like this is coming at you now, do not, this is not time to look away, this is a time to be on point. A hawk is we use hawkeye, like that vision, you can see that vision from far away, but they're incredibly intense raptors, and they're also like super super focused. So I just saw that, like all the talons, all the claws, like be on point, be aware, be present, be awake.
And my mom was an artist who passed in 1992 when I was turning 23. And I'm gonna just show a photo of mom and dad. My dad passed in 1970. She was an artist. I'm gonna just show her drawing right now while I have it. She had never been to the Southwest to draw this, but it's a red-tailed hawk, I believe, or at least a hawk.
Oh,
And let's
on
bring
top
in
of a cactus.
yeah, let's bring in Hawk Spirit if you don't mind, to add extra. I've always used this. I don't get enough chance to bring in Hawk Spirit. It can be red-tailed
Wow.
hawk if you wish.
So, yeah, I'm getting like the cry of the hawk, the sound. So it's like when you summon it, you get that. For people playing along at home, do be present to the hawks, do be present to the omens of the birds. Birds are wonderful spirit messengers. If you get one in your house, if you find feathers, if you hear them, start to attune yourself to the sound and the presence of these birds. They're wonderful, wonderful teachers. And yeah, and you could even meditate and ask for the energy of hawks or hummingbirds, or owls, whatever it is. And you can really, or swans, you can also ask for that energy to kind of guide you. And if you do see them, look it up, feel what that omen of what that teaching is for you. It's usually something right on point for where you are.
And we're going to digress one more step. Roadrunner consciousness, collective Roadrunner consciousness, to help us humans, since animals are involved in this fully, they're already there. They're like our ambassadors to help us along. Here's a Roadrunner for you to represent all Roadrunner consciousness. And they're wonderful birds. I just saw one in my backyard a couple weeks ago. At
Oh,
the exact moment I had a question, and that was my answer. What are you getting from Roadrunner consciousness for mankind?
It's so funny because growing up in Arizona, we had roadrunners, and I always was like, you see them like little bugs, and you see them as very fast, very sort of darty things. But what I'm getting right now is this sense of curiosity and playfulness, which is not something I've ever thought about roadrunner ever before. But I mean, I know we have the sort of the Bugs Bunny roadrunner, but in this moment, I'm just getting this curiosity and playfulness, quick-witted, sharp, like sharp-tongued, being able to speak clearly and that sort of fascination for that sort of bright, new, shiny, what's possible. Like when there's a little shiny thing hidden in a hole, you can just gently put your beak in and pull it out. Like you can extract information. You can let yourself be guided by that which is ready to be brought forward.
And I have to add, I saw a YouTube video by a animal sanctuary woman who has a very strict rule: when they're healed, you let the animal go, whether it flies or walks. She let the roadrunner go. It kept coming back forever. They became buddies, sits on her head, but it does dancing. It does,
Oh,
it brings objects, sometimes a plastic this, a little doll that, as a gift every day. Sometimes other little, passed over creatures or insects, but the most amount of very smart bird, most amount of personality. I was blown away. And so there was a lot more easily found on YouTube if you're interested. Just look up
wow.
Roadrunner, healed bird, sanctuary, something. I'll show mom and dad real fast. I mentioned them. Uh, they show in their 20s, hundreds of people have seen them, and they're passed over, reconciled. If they've got advice for us all, in they were just paying bills yesterday. 1970, 1992 might sound like a long time ago, but what's their advice for everybody in a practical, tactical way, day-to-day living? Barb and Mike Sr. He's 6'1", she's 5'4". They're a sweet couple.
Mm. I'm getting really lean into your team, trust the team, and I'm sort of seeing when two horses would work together, like two big draft horses would work together to pull something heavy, they would work in step. They would be in sync. They would be yoked together and they would lean together. They didn't pull in opposite directions, they pulled in the same direction. So when you have your teammate, whomever your teammates may be, beloveds, family members, sweethearts, best friends, when you and your teammate pull together, you can get an enormous load pulled much more simply and easily.
We're almost done. We've put you to work here, and we will be talking about your book shortly. But I've
Yeah.
got three more angels. Mac, don't call her Mackenzie. Pleiadian background originally, angel today. It doesn't really matter what the difference is. She's plants, animals, and nature. Green light. Amazing, extraordinary photos. Super cool. You could see her as a human if you really wanted to. Look out the window or at least see a little bit of green light.
Mm.
And Max should have something pretty juicy for all of us, or at least for you. Get a beautiful hug, get a beautiful kiss on the cheek, touch on the shoulder, touch on the back, crown chakra. Get lit. And then get something private. And then what does she have to share with mankind, all of us?
It was really interesting. The very first thing that I saw was like the smallest little creatures, like the tiniest little building blocks of life, whether that's an amoeba, whether that's like a tiny the tiniest little creature, whether that's in a plant or that's in the water. And it's almost like this idea that there's nothing is too small. Everything has a part to play. Even the tiniest creatures have an enormous role to play. So never think that you are too small to contribute. Never think that your voice doesn't matter. Never think that your energies are just a drop in the bucket. They are the entirety of the bucket, to be sure.
Oof. Okay, harmony. She's harmony. Of course, she shows tranquility as her key word on her actual photograph of harmony. Let harmony come through. She's definitely, there's a grace, there's a faith, there's a hope, there's a joy. You get the cabal. Audrey Hepburn's in there. Grace is already taken, so she's half grace, half sparkle in the moment. What's harmony saying for all of us?
Interesting. At first I was kind of getting like a harp, but then it immediately went away into be the change. Um, so the harp has many different strings on it that all play individual notes. And so in order to be the change, be consistent with what you play. Like really hold into your consistency. Practice your gifts. Practice your scales. Practice your endeavor become in mastery with this. Um, Move beyond just the surface level of stuff and really start to deepen your mastery into things, because that will give you a gravitas, that will give you a grounding, and it will also give you a sense of sort of pride and dignity in what you are here for, what you have to share, even if it's something that no one else understands, especially if it's something no one else understands. Then if you get to be in deep mastery, deep practice of this, then you can help to share and disseminate this to others.
Very last one, and I'll start lighting some sage and blow that your way to support this one. Claire, she's all about resilience. You could say clarity as well. She's my dog, my Labradoodle off to my right. It's her guardian angel as well, who's looking at me. Um, so Claire, resilience, probably a good message given everything going on around the globe today.
Mm. I immediately saw an arrow. And so like when you point your arrow true, it's like it cuts through the air. The arrow itself was aerodynamic, right? So there's this pointy metallic or stone head, then there was that very strong linear shaft, and then there were those little feathers at the end that would allow it to be, again, aerodynamic and able to hold true and not wobble. So when you have a very clear focus and direction and you are on point, you can allow yourself to really cut through things very cleanly rather than this sort of scattershot, wiggly woggly, all over the place nonsense, which many of us do. We kind of get scattered and distracted and kind of rumble all over the place. But when we can really let ourselves get very clear and very like in that alignment, not so much about focus locked in that old sort of rigid yang way, but more in that sense of just clear direction, clear purpose, clear intent, you'll become much, much more effective.
And here's a little sage. I lit it just about 20 seconds ago. I'll light it a little extra, but allow for it to come through plus an extra fragrance. It doesn't have to be plant. It could be fruit. It could be flower. It could be ocean. And what are you getting?
I'm just getting peace, just peace, like peace be with you, peace be with us all, peace be abundant. Peace be abundant. Yeah, I like that.
Before we talk about your book, talk to us about if somebody wanted to grab you for a one-on-one session, is it all on your website, no problema?
KRISTENEYKEL.com. I am right there. You can book a session with me. Actually, on the homepage of my website, and honestly, I need to update my website. So in the meantime, it is what it is. So just go with it. But KRISTENEYKEL.com is always where you can find me. And there's like a little red bar that says, "Join me here in my community." I have spent for the last 6, 8 months building an online community where teachers, healers, coaches, awakening people, Reiki masters, folks that for whom it's their first day can start to really collect in a safe space. A lot of us have been pulling away from sort of the social media platforms because they don't feel like actual, and I don't mean the word safe space, but like they don't actually feel with the integrity that those who are doing this level of work, this level of intention would like to feel. So it's a bit curated. It's not just open for the whole hoi polloi world. There is a little bit of a, what is your purpose in being here? But the main reason for that is so that we can be very on point with each other, very intentional with each other. Think of it as like an online intentional community. That's really the heart and the point of it. Many of my students I've been working with for over a decade. We've done retreats in the world. We get together in real time. So there's a very deep heart when we come together in community. And what's so awesome is I just did a Reiki master teacher training this past weekend, and there was, I think, 13 of us on the call. It was a phenomenal call. So students and then master teachers holding space for the students. And by the end of it, everyone is like basically like the end of camp, like crying, holding hands, like, "I love you, you're my best friend." And that's genuine. Some of them have never met in person. They only know each other through this. But that is one of the really powerful positive benefits we get to have at this time, is that we do get to work sort of non-locally. We get to meet each other where we are, no matter where we are, what time zone we're in, and what space we're in. So I do help with people, whether we're doing alternate timeline work, where I'm taking people into alternate timelines of, I don't like to use the word past life therapy because it's not past life. It's currently experiencing within you now. It's happening now. So yeah, working on whatever is affecting us now. and also really helping people to kind of get this sort of 35,000-foot view over their lives. Kind of like we were talking about that hawk energy again, being able to look down in your life. Oh, that's what that meant. That's what this is going on. That's how this intersects, so that you can start to see the interconnectivity of all the pieces in your life, why they are the way they are, and how you wish to shift or evolve them. The answers are very clear when you get within. And so that's what I help people to do. So the community, the book, the programs, the teachings, the one-on-ones, all of them are very bespoke to the individual. What do you need to do to awaken? What do you need to do to align? And let's bring that into the focus at this time.
I have a very creative question that I think you're going to love. It's kind of
Mm.
parallel to the past lives, concurrent lives at the same time question. Um, I'm going to bring in just extra two figures, Charlotte, and I don't have a photo of a light being named Grace. She's orange light. She's enthusiasm. She can show up as a human, but if you don't mind just letting her come in, she's dazzling and fun, and she can show up as a human. I wouldn't have known that before August of last year. I would have been like a whale. If angels are like dolphins, light beings are like whales. I'd like a whale showing up in human form, but yes, they can. Here's here's the long question. I'm going to give three examples. They're somehow all tied together. You're going to love this, I think.
Okay.
There's an Elizabeth April on Instagram, and she's a remote viewer, something else, and she's got a child. She's got another adult in the room. I think the child's under 5 or 6, so counting is important with marbles. She puts a marble and she tells this story. Puts one marble into the hand, the child says one. Two marbles, two. Three marbles, three. Two adults here. Four marbles, four. Everyone's on the same page. Fifth marble goes in, child says four. There's four marbles, split in time. Now, the second example is Celestine Prophecy, the really old movie. We just taped Barnett Bain. He was the actual director. He's a Hollywood film director. He did Eckhart Tolle's Milton Secret. He loves saying he made Celestine Prophecy. It was a group effort, but yes, he was one of the top people. Knows it like the back of his hand, knows the part like this, which we might do in a little bit. But there's a moment where the good guys who are working on their vibration and everything else in the jungles of wherever, Colombia or somewhere, there's bad soldiers looking for them. They raise their vibe in a sacred spot or in the jungle, and the soldiers walk right by them, and they're able to dodge the soldiers. And the third example, Cynthia Sue Larson, Mandela effect, not Mandela, Nelson Mandela. The
Mandela.
Mandela effect. People thought he died in prison. He didn't. There's split there in terms of different stuff. Luke, I'm your father, Star Wars. We'll skip that part. She's got a newsletter and she mentions the couple that wrote in about their ER experience. The husband, the wife, he does something. He might be bleeding. They have to call an ambulance. Paramedics show up. They're going to get him to the ER. They know this ER is just 24/7 jam-packed. The paramedics are wonderful. They get there. The two nurses are wonderful. Everyone's in the same vibe. Every stall is empty. 4 hours goes by. They have the smoothest experiences, but the nurses are telling them the place is packed. They have a completely different high vibe experience, and yet it was packed. And somehow they got in and out and had the highest vibe thing. Now there's three separate elements. I'm going to put up Charlotte again. And there's a bigger message about time not being linear anymore down the road for some folks. You don't feel pressure to like speed up time, manifest. I'm not sure. I like that word a lot right now. But
Totally.
unfoldment, we'll make up a word. Between her, Grace the Light being your crew, plus your enormity of wisdom pouring through you. I love that I said it that way. Tie everything together and give us another one of those patented Kristen Eichel amazingness moments.
Okay. So time is a construct. It is not what we think it is. It is a make-believe, like I'm seeing like a string on the ground of like you stand on that side, I'll stand on this side, and this is going to be our time. It's going to be our timeline. And so we've agreed upon that, which is why we experience it, but that is inaccurate. That is a level of accuracy. It is not the totality level of accuracy. So as we are starting to kind of slip outside of necessarily what that agreement and its cohort means, we're going to start experiencing time in different ways. I'll give you an example. If you really have to pee and it's 100 degrees and you're standing in a line at the DMV, 5 minutes feels like 5 hours. If you are standing at the departure gate with your beloved who's going to go away for 5 months, 5 minutes feels like a nanosecond. So time is very personal, it's very subjective. So being a little bit less attached and less rigid with time is going to also help time sort of like slip through our hands a little faster. We cannot push time, we cannot manufacture time, but we can simply be allowed allow ourselves to be unrestrained by it and unsaturated within it. And I think that will also help to be like a bit more expansive, a bit more playful, so that we can start to have those experiences where we are literally having a different experience than the person next to us, which we've already always been having. But now that we are more interconnected, and now that we are also sort of operating and vibrating within different sort of frequency tones simultaneously, I liken it to if you were to go to the Empire State Building and you're standing at the ground floor, you are at the address of the building and you can look up and you can see the whole building. But the moment you walk in, you're on the ground floor with all the like porters and people rushing baggages around and people doing things with, with elevators. You can get in the elevator, you can go to any floor you want within that same address. Fifth floor is fifth floor, 40th floor is 40th floor, 97th floor is 97th floor. They're all in the same address, each having their own experience. That's how I witness the experience and the shift of the timelines. What's happening on floor 40 is happening on floor 40. You can go there, but once you're here, you don't necessarily need to go back there. So allowing yourself to be on the floor that you're at, knowing that everyone else is on the floor that they are at, and they will get where they need to go as they need to go. We can, again, stop micromanaging the universe, stop saying people are doing it wrong or in the wrong time or place. They're exactly where they need to be. When you are having your own unique experience without needing to judge it against another, as if this superior or inferior, am I lacking, am I missing? Nope, you're exactly where you need to be in the time you need to be at, and so it will always be. We are always on our appointment. As I will say, one of my favorite lines from the movie Lord of the Rings, giant LOTR fan over here, when Gandalf shows up at the Hobbit village and he's told, Gandalf, you're late, and he says, nope, a wizard is never late. He always shows up precisely when he means to. And I believe that to be true of each and every one of us. We have shown up precisely as we need to in this timeline, as we are here to unpack, evolve, and let go of, move through the karma, move through the drama, let go of the trauma, and start to just kind of cut through using that arrow of specificity and clarity so that we can do what we came here to do, which is not fiddle faddle around at the departure gate like, I don't know, should I get on the plane or not? Babe, you're already here. Just get on the plane. We're all flying there with you.
Mm. And an audience note, obviously, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. I think we're one subscriber away as we tape this from 3,000
Oh,
subscribers.
yay,
Uh,
subscribe.
and Barnett Bain, the film director I just mentioned, used a building analogy very similar to yours. So, folks checking out the June 2026 shows, he did What Dreams May Come, won an Oscar with Robin Williams and other amazing actors in that one. Okay, tell us about your book, Aromatherapy and Essential Oils, half in France, a good portion in Costa Rica. Maybe tell us a little bit of how did France influence you? How did Costa Rica influence you?
Thank you for asking that. A long time ago, I went to a writer's workshop and in Hawaii. And while it was for Hay House, and while I was there, I was sort of like fangirling around, like Wayne Dyer and all that sort of things. And one of the women who was there, who was a very prolific author and sort of really, really well known in her field, and she just looked me up and down. She's like, "Oh, you got a lot of books in you." And I was like, "I know, I do." So I've had all these sort of different things to come. And you would not think that I would be like, I am not the expert on aromatherapy. I will tell you right now, that is not. But I have been an aromatherapy enthusiast for over 30 years. So I'm one of those people that's been fiddling in my kitchen. I make my own floor cleaner. I make my own room spray. I make my own face cream. I make my own auric field spray. I make my own roll-ons. I make my own diffusers. I've been doing that. I have been a non-toxic household since I lived in New York in the 90s. I've just always been that girl. And so for me, it just became, why are you not sharing this? Not because I'm like the aromatherapy expert, but because I'm so passionate and love it as just a normal thing. Aromatherapy is also, let me back up. Essential oils are very high vibe concentrations of the essence of certain plants. Okay, so it could be the root, could be the bark, could be the seed, could be the flower, could be the whole thing, right? So it is the essence of the plant. And each one of those has its own, again, frequency and signature of how it interacts within us. And so when you put a combination of, let's say, two together, you get something that's like an interplay between the two. So it's kind of like a harmony. You get fragrance A, fragrance B, and they form fragrance C as a result. And I find that fascinating that you can overlay them just like any other frequency and get a new tone. So it was just kind of like guidance for me. I've been a world traveler my whole life. I've been to the souks in Morocco and Egypt, and I've been to the flower fields in Provence and to like these beautiful, like the tulip markets in freaking Amsterdam. Like, I love this. I love this stuff. I'm the person who's going to have like all the perfumes, all the products. I love that stuff. But because I worked in the beauty industry for such a long time as a model, and I used all the stuff, and I was the face for like so many giant international beauty brands. I couldn't with the toxicity anymore. Like I just couldn't. I couldn't with like how it was interfecting with my skin. So I started making my own face products. And then my clients were like, "Oh my God, your skin is so beautiful." And I'm like, "Oh, let me make a jar for you." So it's just like literally like from my kitchen to yours kind of a thing. So it just really struck me when I was in Costa Rica that that this would just be a loving, simple, juicy way to kind of share something that I love with the community that I love. And the tack that I took, because again, my point and my focus is to use energy for awakening. How are we going to awaken? Well, one of the most powerful ways that we awaken is through our scent. Most of our body senses go through a processing factor in our brain. So we get a touch, it has to travel up through the central nervous system, go to the brain, it kind of goes into the like operating systems, like, oh, that feels like feathers. Great. Now we have an association called feathers, and we can now translate what we are feeling. However, scent doesn't work that way. Scent is direct transmission, and it's direct transmission to your limbic system, which is where memories are. So that's why when you smell something, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm back in grandma's kitchen, or oh my God, that was that summer when that thing happened. Like we are instantly transported. And so that's a really fascinating thing. So when we smell something, it immediately changes our brain waves, changes our electronics and our chemistry in our body, and changes the outward experience that we then have. So using aromatherapy effectively to cause ourselves to feel more at peace, cause ourselves to feel more proficient, cause ourselves to feel more awake. I mean, I literally created like little blends called Rose Memory, where you can literally use rosemary. Go out in your garden and grow rosemary. Bring that baby in, crack her open, inhale it deeply while you're trying to learn something. It will help you to learn. It doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be complicated, but starting to learn how the natural gifts of Mother Gaia working with us directly into our brain, directly into our consciousness, we can shift how we feel, and we can shift then how we create in the world around us. So I talk very much in the book about creating scent escapes, having your home feel like your sanctuary, having it on the go, taking it when you fly, taking it when you work, putting it on your body, taking ritual showers and baths, creating little tea ceremonies with your friends, have people over with like lemon lavender scones. I don't know, create community, plant a garden, travel, go to these places, come with me on retreat, whatever it is. Get out of the bubble, get into the world, and let's make it more delicious together.
Oh
That's
my
my
God.
whole message.
I love it. I have two follow-ups, but I'm going to show my gardens. We're already booming here in San Antonio. Although we just got 2 inches of rain over the weekend, we got four separate inches on Monday alone. And
Oh my
then we
goodness.
might have another inch today, but there's my garden
Wow.
booming. Pride of Barbados are not blooming yet. Those are orange poppies, red
Oh,
sage, butterfly sage. Uh,
gorgeous.
Over the fence, again, butterfly sage, a little lantana in the middle, and then two wild sage. But they have already,
I see like the purple sprouts there. That's gorgeous.
yeah, two follow-ups. Who was the person in Hawaii who said, I see a lot of books in you?
Oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay, no problem. The second follow-up is, can you stop, drop, and roll without stop, dropping, and rolling? Allow a sacred scent, whether it be flower, oil, something else, plant, to come in, or a mixture, and let angels and other loving figures bring you something just delightful right now. And what are you getting?
Hmm. Um, I got rose, but then I also got this sort of like tingle all over my body. Rose is rose. Actual rose oil is one of the most expensive essential oils out there. I mean, it's hundreds of dollars for pure essential oil, because it takes so much of it in order to create. However, it is very, very, very high vibe. It is basically bottled love. There are other fragrances which can be similar in the vein, which are a little less costly, like geranium. But the minute I got the rose, my whole body just began to kind of like vibrate and glow, like in this really pleasurable, like tingle, almost like being wrapped in a beautiful hug. Like I just want to like snuggle up in the cashmere blanket and just go soft.
Tell us a little bit more about the book.
I think of the book as an entry point into self. So one of the practices, there's a whole workshop that goes along with it. There's a whole online course that I'm in the middle of creating right now as well, which is really about using scent to discover yourself. So I have a whole practice where I ask people, go on a scent walk. Here's a PDF with like some questions for yourself. Just answer these questions. What do you associate when you smell these things? What happens for you when you taste these things? What parts of you comes online in these experiences? Because most of the times we are very sort of on robotic, we're on cruise control. And so we're not actually in choice about what it is that we want to do or how we want to respond. But when we get in that present moment of the smell, of the taste, it brings us right into our senses. It brings our awareness right on time. And then we can use this, I think, therapeutically to help ourselves be more focused and more clear about our intentions and what we're here to create. So being on point in the body, on purpose in the body, using scent, taste, smell, touch as a creative force for awakening.
And do you have a copy right in front of you that you could hold up for the camera?
I don't, I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
Okay, but I can give you cover art.
I think I left it like 5 feet behind me.
No worries. I can give you cover art.
Out of yes. Okay. Day to day, we still have a lot of externalities we believe to be completely real. We put on the
Yep.
news, it's happening
Yep.
overseas, or
Don't put on the
what the
news.
neighbor says. How do we keep our chin up again? How do we stay in our heart? How do we keep it light?
Yeah, stay away from that stuff. Honestly, um, it's so funny. I am here with my almost 91-year-old father, who is a news addict.
Hmm.
So I like to wake up in silence with the sound of the birds and a cup of tea and meditation with the team, right? Nope. I wake up, it's right into blaring crazy news company that says crazy things that are not necessarily accurate at very high volume. And I find that personally quite a challenge to hold my equilibrium within. So I get it. We may live in a circumstance with other people who feel that that is really real, and it can be challenging. And I got to tell you, there's been a couple of times where I'd take a deep breath and walk out of the room because I was activated. I was like triggered by something that I knew was inaccurate that was being repeated to me. That I was like, nope, I am not going to have this discussion with someone who just cannot. My 91-year-old father just cannot. And I bless his heart. I love him dearly, but he is where he is. And so I think this is also a big lesson for all of us to really allow people to be where they are, even if we don't agree, especially when we don't agree. We cannot fight with them. It's not my job to change him. It's not our job to change any of us. It is our job to have respect and dignity for each other as we're stumbling imperfectly around in this globe, and to realize that which is the darkness, that which is the fearness, it cannot hold you unless you allow it to do so. So become more slippery, become more fine, become more delightful, and then you will not be held in that grip.
I have Jaguar Spirit for you, Jaguar Mama, if you wish. It's a three-part photo series. So she's doing something different in every photo. Um, at home, you can go back and play the different photos over again. Put your hand out, treat it like a fireplace, but don't feel fire. You'll feel sparkle, warmth, tingle. Try too hard, it'll be on your toes. With Jaguar, you can off camera put your hand out if you're watching, or Kristen, anybody, and feel the short, wiry fur. It's not like the soft fur of the tiger from India that's shampooed and amazing, thick and plush. Here's the first photo for Jaguar Mama. Uh, get something private from her, hear a purring and a snuggle, and then what can you share out loud from her to all of us?
Power and grace can go hand in hand, paw in paw. We oftentimes think of power as like domination or control, but when we can use power in grace, it can be much, much more effective.
Here's her crossing a stream or a river, fluidity. What are you getting now from her?
Yeah, first word I get is curiosity. Stay curious, stay playful, stay engaged, be in it. Um, be in this. Don't check out. This is not the time to check out. This is the time to check in and play.
Okay, one more. Her in repose in the treetop, putting it all together.
Yeah, keep a watchful eye. Mostly keep a watchful eye for self. Do not let self get deluded or diluted, either one. Be present to where we kind of sell ourselves short, hold ourselves back, or plump ourselves up in these weird artificial ways. Really, let's get clear. Let's get focused. Let's have a clear vision, a clear eye from this sort of gentle, dispassionate way. And just to remember you're safe. You're okay. You are loved. It's all going to be okay. Whenever I guide people to connect with their team, where they have direct experience of their team, kind of like you share direct experience, I have people have direct experience with their team, and their teams invariably say, and tears in their eyes. Oh my gosh, I realize I am loved. I am safe. It's all going to be okay. I'm never alone. People consistently get that message the moment they slip out of the human and slip into that space with their team. There is never one time in my 35 something years of doing this, not one time has anyone ever come in and been like, "Oh, damn, girl, you're in trouble." Like that's never happened. Or like, "Oh yeah, we're here to create chaos." That is not what comes through ever. That's what the human might believe. And that's what some of these sort of lower level energies would like to trick us into believing, which is why there's all that negative theater of like horror movies and violence. Like, just turn it off. It cannot affect you if you don't let it infiltrate you. So, really connect with that place, as you like to say, which is so accurate, love and above. Really connect with that because that is the truth. When we scrape off the gross layers, what is revealed is the light, invariably, every time, and consistently.
And if we can take a page out of your playbook, if you don't mind closing your eyes and having either Costa Rica, but a jungle clearing, or further south, deeper into the Amazon, get a beautiful layout. You can see a few angels there, but Jaguar Mama is going to show up. If you don't mind me suggesting, how do I say this? More rainbow light from her as she opens up and shares exquisite, even higher vibrational light. It'll be private to you, a lot of it, but again, an extra message will come out of it all. So first light and then a extra rainbow light that she's sharing with you.
Yeah, magic is here. It's all around. Relinquish doubt, really relinquish doubt about it. There are times when I personally have been like, is this real? Is this really happening? There's no way this is real. Like, am I crazy? I still ask myself this all these years in. And so, no shame if you've been asking yourself those questions as well. Is this real? Is this really happening? Yes, sweetheart, it is real and it's really happening, and you're not crazy. So, relinquish the doubt, really fall into that trust. The moment we do, it just opens up these oceans of love and support. We have so much more available within us than we have given credit for. So when that sort of rainbow light kind of comes in, literally for anyone, take a few moments, touch the earth, sit there, even if you're in an urban environment, become present, close your eyes with it, and then just open yourself up into that rainbow light transmission. There is so much wisdom and grace that comes through that way, and it's never ending.
And does Jaguar Mama have a mantra? Maybe the two of you can sculpt a little mantra, a reminder for us that if we said it daily, you never know where it might take us. What would that mantra be?
I am aligned. I allow. I am enough.
And can you say it one more time for us?
No.
I am aligned. I
I'm
allow.
aligned. I'm allowed. I am enough. Yeah, I'm in the
I'm
flow,
enough.
so I'm not paying attention. Yeah, I am
No, no
aligned.
worries.
I am allowed. I allow.
Kristen Eichel, thank you so much for being a guest on the Angels Positivity and Love show. You're wonderful. What wonderful sharing you did for all of us. It was incredible.
As always, thank you so much, Michael. And I'm really grateful to be here with you and your team and all of our time and space and all of this interdimensional and human time and space. And with all of these people that come across your work, people that come across this energy, please trust yourself. You're right here on time. You are so loved. You're so among friends. Michael, thank you for all you do to keep the light on.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.